Jesus confronted Peter in fellowship. Peter responded defensively, and then he denied Jesus 3 times. Why did Peter weep bitterly? It wasn't just because he denied his friend. It's because he remembered the whole conversation. In those moments, he remembered how he had fought Jesus, how he had argued with Jesus, how he had swelled up in front of Jesus, how he said, "I will die for you." And then a young girl and 2 men asked him, "Are you one of them?" I don't even know him. See, when we react defensively in fellowship, we push ourselves nearer those places of brokenness. When we fight for ourselves, when we make our excuses, when we refuse to hear the people that God has set in our lives, the people that God has chosen for us, not the people we've chosen for ourselves, because a lot of us are good at that. We surround ourselves with people that make us feel good about ourselves, but God surrounds us with people that makes us hear Him, see Him, and become more like Him. People that sometimes feel like sandpaper because they're brushing off our edges, but they're making us who we were meant to be. In Peter's mind, at that moment, he had broken fellowship. He no longer belonged. And haven't we all been in that place? Haven't we all lived with that pressure? That we did the thing that we said we were never going to do. We repeated the pattern that we said we had broken. We went back to the thought process we said we were done with. And then there's this pressure of believing that now I'm no longer acceptable. Now I'm no longer accepted. And we do one of 2 things. We either run away or we work really hard to prove that we were really sorry. And both things are wrong. Because neither one of those things will lead us to fellowship. And neither one of those things tell the truth about the heart of God. Because that's what fellowship does more than anything else. It tells the truth about the heart of God until our hearts are willing and ready to believe. Jesus died, and Peter at best watched from a distance. Then 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead, and an angel came and announced the resurrection to the women at the tomb and said, "Go tell the disciples." According to Mark 16, they said this, "Go tell the disciples and Peter." Another really important detail. See, I believe that this was God, he said this because God wanted it to be known that He continued to include Peter, even if Peter believed he had excluded himself. Like, if you think about if you're Peter in that situation, if all you get is word, tell the disciples that Jesus is alive, Peter's going to wonder, I wonder if that includes me. I wonder if I'm still a disciple. I wonder if He still counts me among His number. But the fact that He called him out by name meant Jesus wanted to make sure Peter understood, I have chosen you even when you denied me. I do not change like the wind. I do not measure our relationship by your actions. I measure it by my faithfulness, by my love, by my truth. And so Jesus wanted Peter to understand, even if you think you're far from me, I'm near you. Isn't that the character of God that we see throughout the entirety of Scripture? Adam and Eve sin, and what does God do? He goes and finds them. Cain sins, and what does God do? He goes and warns him. Over and over again we see in Scripture God coming to those who have run from Him, because it's who God is. And so God wanted to make sure Peter understood, your denial has not changed my relationship with you, even if it has changed your belief about us.